So yeah, we'll try and keep it to 15 minutes. It's 7:10 right now.
I feel really bad for what just happened.
No.
I sat down.
It's okay. The sooner it breaks, the sooner I can get a new one.
There's a lot of pressure.
I've never done it this way.
Close the store here.
Kevin Durant.
And if we
wanted
wanted
to where I am. Well, it's a big deal for us too. Every time we've come through Tulsa, we played Canes usually, and the crowd is always amazing. And I feel like there's a really great music history and a great respect that the folks here seem to have for music and the arts in general. So we always look forward to coming back. I haven't. I kind of don't like to check out the crowd too much before we play because I'll either be let down or overhyped and then kind of lose my mind and maybe, you know, act the wrong way on stage or do something I may regret. So I try to keep it fresh, you know. Well, we're in the center of the universe, so it can only expand out. So I guess our goal will be to send some sort of shockwave throughout the rest of the country and the world tonight. Doing these interviews. You know, the coolest thing is we become friends with a lot of these bands that we play with. Fitz and the Tantrums, for example, I had dinner with Fitz earlier, so it's always nice to catch up and kind of bond and talk about stuff that I guess only you know, touring musicians can relate to, and you know, just sort of relate about the same complaints that we have about band members and crew members, and you know, sort of gossip a little bit, and that's pretty fun. And also getting to play with other bands instead of just playing the same old set over and over, you know, with the same bands you're usually on tour with, so you have a chance to discover maybe some new music that you haven't heard before. Well, I'm in the middle of finishing up the new record, and extremely excited about that. So that's, you know, my main focus is the new record, so we just kind of jump out the studio to do shows like this. We're only playing the special shows, so this is the special one. Yeah. We've been lucky enough to play some of the huge festivals in the country and overseas as well, and yeah, I think it's been beneficial for us because, you know, before the record came out, I always thought that, you know, I didn't really expect this kind of commercial success that I've ended up having, but I did have a lot of confidence that we would be good live. Coming up in the underground, in the punk rock scene, in the hardcore scene, that's all we had back then. So I always felt confident that we put on a great live show and be able to really move a crowd. So I thought we'd at the very least have possibly a cult following and be able to play small venues throughout the country and hopefully in other countries as well. So that on top of the commercial success we've had has been just a really winning formula, and being asked to play all these different festivals and a lot of cool festivals as well. You know, we got to play Coachella a couple of years ago, which was a great lineup that year, and so it's been great. You know, I feel really lucky to be part of music right now, even though, you know, some of my peers would argue that it was better when we were growing up, when MTV was a big deal and all that, and people weren't, you know, illegally downloading music. But to me, you know, whichever way people can get, you know, the songs I've written, I feel grateful that they have them. To be honest, I don't really have much control, but I am who I am, so whatever I'm writing just comes out, and, you know, hopefully people will enjoy the songs. And then playing them live, of course, is totally different. I mean, I heard Tom York say this great quote where he said, you know, we're actually a Radiohead cover band because they can't play the record live exactly, and nor can we. So, yeah, it would be impossible for us to sound identical to the live record. And plus, when I love a band, I don't want to hear the record. I want it to be better than the record, hopefully. So, you know, the recordings are a time capsule of where I was at in that moment, and then live we want to take it to another dimension, you know, and celebrate, you know, the fact that we're all here together for the interest in music. It just depends on whatever I'm doing. I like the other more, it seems, you know. Right now I love being in the studio because it's very close to where I live, and life is very peaceful in that way, and there's nothing quite like the discovery and creation of a new song, and when that comes to life, and you add harmonies, and finally throw down a snare drum, and finalize the song, or the kind of the blueprint of the song, and it starts to become exciting, and you're getting chills, and it's sort of there's nothing quite like that, because you'll never have that moment again. It's over. That was it. It's like sort of like the honeymoon phase of a relationship with the song. But then, of course, playing it live and have people sing your lyrics back to you, or even in some cases sing or chant a string line that I've written back to me in some instances is like something I never thought would ever happen in my life. So that's incredible. I hope so. You guys just have to invite us, and we'll be here. Yeah, I've had some wonderful meals here, and experienced some great drinks as well, and had a good time. I mean, every time we come here, I feel pretty comfortable. It was actually not as quick as you would think. Well, for me at least, I was in 2 other signed bands before this one. Both had a ton of potential, all the hope in the world, completely bombed and failed. Before that, I was in punk rock bands, as I mentioned earlier, and a hardcore band, and so forth and so on. So I was in a bunch of bands to get to this point. And then when Megalithic Symphony came out, Sale exploded gradually. So it was like, we watched the fuse be lit, and we started to watch it kind of take off. And then went away, and we had 2 other singles that did really well for us. And then Sale had a second life, 2 or 3 years later, and crossed over to pop music, pop radio stations, which is something I certainly did not expect. To be played next to Miley Cyrus songs was a really weird experience, still is. And so it actually was like a really long, nice, organic growth for me, which was nice for me. I never got too overwhelmed with all that. I never became, a celebrity or there's no paparazzi bothering me or anything like that. So I feel very blessed that we've crossed over to so many different ears, but at the same time didn't become a freak show in any way. I think that it's hard for me to know, how or why people enjoyed it, but I will say that the difference for me was when I ended up writing a lot of the lyrics and the melody and the general sound, I guess, behind this first record. I had experienced enough heartbreak and failure to be actually hungry and have something to say, and talk about things that human beings could relate to, as opposed to just being this young kid who got a record deal, whose parents were in the music industry too, or something like that. And on our first record, we blew up, and then I lost my mind and became this conceited asshole or whatever. So, maybe I am an asshole to some people, but hopefully no one in this room. And so I feel grateful that I'd experienced enough real life stuff, and had to look in the mirror and figure out what I was going to do with my life, and look my parents in their eyes and say, I guess I still believe in this, even though I'm broke and owe all this money and was in debt, just like so many different Americans have felt. And to climb out of that through a real sort of message, I guess, and has been a blessing. And I'm just really glad that it happened now and not before for me. I don't know if that answered your question at all.
It did a lot, thanks.
It's all part of the process.
I suppose so, yeah. Life is a weird thing,
Can I portrait of you real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, you want to be on the left side, that's the better side.
Damn, I hoped you wouldn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny how many people are serious about that. Well, I gotta be on this side.